Hey guys, this is your boy Payne back with another video. And today's video is going to be about upping your legato game. I'm going to show you these 3 tips and tricks, and hopefully they can elevate your legato playing and get you slipping and sliding across that fretboard. Anyways, let's hop right into these tips and tricks. Alright guys, before we get started, I just want to let you know that all of this stuff I'm going to be doing today is going to be in B minor. You can apply this to any key you like. Matter of fact, you can actually even do a chromatic scale, and it can still help you with all this stuff, alright? So the first tip is just understanding good mechanics of legato, okay? So what I mean by good mechanics of legato is making sure that you have a nice, consistent, even sound when you're doing your legato. You don't want any volume loss or even any muffled notes. You want to make sure that all your notes are clear and are at the same volume. So what are good, habits or mechanics of legato, like your hammer-ons and pull-offs, all right? What that would be is to make sure that you're giving your hammer-ons enough juice to where that note volume is the same. So this is a good example of a good hammer-on. See how there's like no volume loss there? That's what you really want to look for. And then for pull-offs, instead of just lifting your finger off, is what a lot of people do. You don't want that. You want to make sure that you're actually kind of flicking your string a little bit. You don't want to flick it too hard, but you want to flick it good enough to where you can still hear that note that you're trying to get down to. And that's the very important part about getting very consistent hammer-ons and pull-offs. Is to make sure that you're getting those, giving those notes enough juice. And you want to make sure that you're flicking, down, good enough so you can hear that note that you're trying to get to. So the way that you can practice this is by doing trills. And simply what trills are is where you go, back to back between hammer-ons and pull-offs, in a consecutive motion. So what you can do here is that you can anchor with your first finger. Choose whatever fret you like. I'm here on the 7th fret of the E string on the high E. And you just want to do first and second finger. Go however fast you like. First and third. Then first and fourth. Sorry. After you're done with all of those, then you can start anchoring from your second finger. Second and third. Second and fourth. Then of course you can go to your third finger, which is only your third and fourth. I cannot stress enough, please go at your own tempo. Make sure that you can really hear each of those notes getting rung out and clearly before you start upping the tempo. Now I would like to get into our next exercise and tip. Alright guys, for this second tip, I'm gonna highly suggest y'all to go through all the different finger configurations that is possible when doing legato. What I mean by that is that, there's certain patterns within the scales that, you'll find. And just getting used to those finger patterns is very important, alright? So I'm gonna walk through all 3 of them that you really need to know. We're not doing any exotic scales, so there's no weird ones. This is ones that you're gonna find in all of your regular, minor, and major keys, alright? So so for your first one, you have this, this classic minor shape. You can do this as with your first, third, and fourth finger, or you can do it as your first, second, and third. It really doesn't matter. It just depends on which one is more comfortable. I know I like to switch between some of them. It just really depends on what I'm trying to play. But you got 1, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3. For your next shape, which is this one. As I kind of did there, you could do first, second, and fourth. You could do first, second, and third, but that's kind of weird, so I highly suggest you do first, second, and fourth, okay? And then for this more majory shape that's more spread out, you can do first, second, and fourth, or you can do first, second, and third. Once again, for that one, kind of like the first shape I first showed you, it really depends on how you're feeling. Whichever one feels the best. So you're probably wondering, how do you practice this? I would just say simply go through all of your 3-note per string scales. So here's an example of that in B minor. So yeah, make sure that you have that consistent rhythm, almost like you're picking it. And yeah, just make sure you have that same type of consistent rhythm when you're doing that. And yeah, you can even take it through some scale sequences that you may have already learned with alternate picking, all the Paul Gilbert stuff and all like that. So yeah, you can even practice it with that. But once again, make sure that you have a consistent rhythm. And like I always said for the last tip, make sure you get all those notes out clear, right? But on to the last, final, and most important tip that you'll probably need. All right, guys, for this last tip is going to be kind of the esoteric one that I can't give you a clear-cut answer, but I highly suggest y'all to go out and learn how to phrase all of this stuff together. You can do that by learning some of your favorite solos that include legato, some of your favorite legato licks. I'm not going to give you some players and albums that I really like that have some great legato playing. Then you got Satch, Vi, surprisingly Paul Gilbert. I know he's not known as a legato player, but some of the ways he used legato with his picking as well is very genius. Guys that I really haven't listened to, but I know that they have great legato. Richie Kotzen is one of those guys. Maybe Warren D. Martini. I can see him being one of those guys too. But yeah, just sky's the limit. You're just learning how to put all of it together. Knowing those different devices, like how you can pick. Using slides to transition as well. Hammer-ons from nowhere. Even tapping in certain cases. I don't want to tell y'all what to do and like what's concrete. You know what I'm saying? Nothing's really set in stone, because like you can kind of do whatever. Make your legato playing into your own thing. I kind of modeled mine after some of my favorite players. You do the same, or come up with some of your favorite ideas. When it comes to playing legato ideas. All right. But yeah, that's my final piece of advice. Go out, learn some legato licks. Just learn how to piece all this stuff together yourself, and you're gonna become a great slip and slide legend. But anyways, that is it for today's video. Hopefully you enjoyed and you found it helpful. If you did, if you don't mind, would you like to drop a subscribe and a like for me? And please share this and comment so I can get into that algorithm. Hopefully I can help some other people out once others find it. But that's it for me today, guys. Hopefully I had a good one. Once again, hopefully you enjoyed. Paying out.